here that Fraud Watch is on Fraud Watch, so at least their name is on point. I'm joined here on the cast today with JK. How's it going, JK?
Doing well, man. Excited for an exciting night of drafts and games. Should be interesting. We got two 1-0 teams going into week two. And like you'd mentioned, there's some suspicions around some of these teams, so it should be an interesting night tonight.
Excited to see that. And as you can see, these teams straight into the draft. Things to kind of keep our eyes on, at least with the new patch. Maybe Lulu priority dropping. I imagine no one's picking that champion too often anyway in these leagues because no one wants to win. But other things is the Sylas jungle just being absolutely super dominant. So I'm actually excited to see if that gets picked up here. Otherwise, bans coming through the Belveth, the Urgot for Fraud Watch. Finish it out with LeBlanc. X unit there, going to get their third band underway here, but Camille and Gangplank already gone, so targeting top lane, I imagine that means Fraud Watch has got a very, very scary top laner. They do indeed in Gumby Power.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the other thing to note of going in with this patch is off-meta junglers. They did a lot of adjustments with monster ratios and everything else. I'm curious to see if we see some pocket picks come out as Fraud Watch looks to get their first pick in. And you're not wrong. Obviously, Gumby's an extremely strong top laner. Overall, these bands wise, though, I'm curious to see whether or not Fraud Watch looks to early rotate their top laner to get them out early. That way, they don't get banned second round.
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked with it, especially if you're kind of this high of elo, as I can notice this is like a mixed elo league. Um, if you're that much better than your opponent, you believe you're that much better than your opponent, and your opponent seems to think that as well. It would be a great case just to lock down a priority pick that you really like. Maybe something harder to counter. I can see the Aatrox, the Gwen, and the Gragas all being very, very good in this situation, but they're on blue side, so it's going to be a little harder to kind of get away with that. But Lucian coming out first. Anyone watching the LTA right now, just watch Bvoy absolutely stunt over a Corki even, and now picking the immobile Varus from X unit. This is going to be a little fun to see. Maybe a more active bot lane than I was expecting initially.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, obviously, supports dictate quite a bit, but I like the Varus here. Gives you some range, gives you some poke. You don't necessarily have to constantly fight with Lucian. You can kind of sit back a little more, poke him down. I am curious to see though what if they go Milio or Nami with that Lucian. But we shall see.
We shall see, and that's the Silas I was talking about coming through from X unit. It's still technically a flex between mid and jungle, but its best role is very much the jungle. That monster AP that you mentioned, or monster damage uh, on camps, just so high. He can clear so quickly. You can go full glass cannon, max AP, and it will just wreck.
And just confirming, they have patched the crit.
Yeah, the
Uh,
the
that is patched.
that unholy abomination for a day is in fact gone. Thank you. But crit Silas is still good, but it doesn't crit with the monster damage applied anymore.
I had that a few of my games as an absolute monster. As Oriana is picked up for the side of Fraud Watch, I'm curious. I wonder if that means they think the Silas is going to the side of mid lane. It's an interesting answer.
Is an interesting answer, and it leaves you open to a lot of jungle opportunities. You see the Varus especially here, and it can kind of leave you in a space. Maybe I could pick the Jarvan, or maybe I could pick something else pretty consistent engage like the Nocturne if you have that synergy available to you. But Jarvan 4 really good into mobile characters like the Varus, and Yumi being the lock in for Fraud Watch. They really, really don't want to get abused as the support here and just play the 1v1.
Yeah, that's a interesting pickup. We'll go with. I've not seen a Yumi in comp in a very long time. Should be interesting though. As we actually see X Unit early rotate round three of Red Draft pick up the Renekton. So that's interesting. Get him out early. I wonder if they're looking to cover ban him or ban Junglers going into the second round of bans.
I wouldn't be shocked with the cover bands. You can see immediately there, they're reading our minds here. The Fiora gone, another one of Gumby Power's stronger champions, though you can't just ice out a player like this. They have so much experience against opponents, probably a lot better than you, and that should mean that they're going to be confident, but you can abuse that cockiness on a champion like Renekton very easily. Point and click, stun, tons of healing, tons of damage, tons of mobility, and armor shred too. You can really catch people off guard with it.
Yeah, absolutely. personally, what I found would be good is using tanks as sit back and farm. But if you like you said, you have the CC on demand, you have the mobility, it might work out well, especially if you're confident on the pick. And you also see the Gwen bans. That's a lot of top laners out of at least the first draft. Now, confirm it is fearless, correct?
Uh, I'm not sure. Yes, it is fearless. Thank you, Prod. Um, yes, it is fearless. So whatever's picked is gone. Everyone's used to it. Everyone knows it. Everyone loves it. Um, but I'm actually a little curious there. That's a Scion ban for blue side. Are they thinking this Renekton's going to be going mid lane? Are they like pre-banning a Scion mid? What's going on there?
Yeah, I'm curious about that. Obviously, we'll see maybe more in draft, but see Nautilus picked up from X Unit. I like it. Gives you CC, gives you engage, disengage. It gives you the R to follow the mobility of a Lucian, especially if they're using a Nami. Or sorry, excuse me, a Yumi. So I really like that pickup.
I do too, and you can technically play with the flex in the jungle as well, though I believe the Silas is a little more comfortable for most junglers. Expecting to see that bot lane, but I like this draft order here from X Unit. There's so many question marks on these three champions, especially I can see that from their bans there, and Wukong going to be the lock-in from Fraud Watch, keeping it consistent, playing a lot more Wombo E with the Shockwave plus the Cyclone from the Orianna Wukong respectively can be good, but that's a lot of burst damage and that's a lot of HP or effective HP you're having to deal with here from Exuna. I'm kind of curious to see what Fraud Watch picks in last here to try and finish out their damage comp.
And that's the Gragas coming out the side. And we had mentioned earlier while talking, and I'm not sure if it was in draft or previously, but a Gragas might be looking to get a strong pickup that can both neutralize the lane and look for really great picks when you have all that experience as a really high elo player. It should be interesting. Personally, that's a lot of Wombo for me without a lot of consistent AP damage, like tank shred, especially going into a not Renekton. Should be interesting though. We'll see if that first line of burst gets through, and there's the Mundo answer. So where's that going? Is it?
Um, my guess, barely educated guess here, is it's going to be the Mundo top. I'm banking on that Silas jungle with the Renekton mid into Orianna to play kill pressure. Because you can't really jungle Renekton, you can't really support Renekton. Pretty much just the Renekton and Mundo can kind of play around in the solo lanes more than anything else, or you can Mundo jungle. But I could see Mundo Jungle really struggling with a champion like Wukong's clear speed. Wukong so threatening with that kind of 3 to 4 camp clear speed. Yes, you can't full clear 310 anymore on the champion, but you can clear 4 camps quickly and get to a ganking position. And you have so much assist, you have so much damage coming out quickly that a lot of people just don't expect it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think now that I'm looking at it more, I think I agree with you. That's a lot of kill threatening Orianna though. If you think about it, going from like a double E charge of a Renekton W, using the stun on it into a halfway across the map, Silas chains. It's definitely going to be interesting to see how these drafts stack up. Going into game, who are you giving the advantage to just off draft?
It's kind of hard because the glaring issue that I see from Fraud Watch that makes me kind of hesitant is the Lucian Yumi. Yes, it is another enchanter, but Yumi doesn't have as easy access as you have the shield to the Lucian passive and empowering that Lucian as much as the Nami and the Milio, like you mentioned earlier. So to me, I just like beef. I love Juggernaut comps. I love Welcome to game one between Y Fraud Watch versus X Unit. I saw FW and I don't know why I thought of something else entirely, but the Premier Summit Premier League here back again, and unsurprisingly, the Nautilus comp means invading, and that means you must counter invade.
This is going to be a spicy level 1. It's going to get interesting here very quickly.
It's going to get very interesting quickly. We're going to wait for that Nautilus hook there. It's the 5-stack. And they're going to find the hook there onto the Wukong, but there's so much burst damage. There's nothing you could do. X Unit getting absolutely demolished. Gumby barely going to get traded out there, saved by the Yuumi. Sheebs has to make their way out of there, but the Wukong dash forward. One more auto there. Lucian not able to find it. And Orianna walking down the Varus. It's a 3-for-0. It's the feat of warfare in under a minute for Fraud Watch.
That is going to swing the game. That's a 1,200 gold lead going in a minute into the game. We have everyone basically starting with long swords or at least one component up on their opponent. Overall, though, looking at runes, are you seeing anything out of the ordinary? I'm seeing Phase Rush topside, Silence with Dark Harvest. I think that's normal. I remember right. Going to jungle.
Yeah, if you're going for the one-shot, which I would recommend in this game over Conqueror, you should definitely be going Dark Harvest. But the big thing that I do like from the Orianna specifically is the opt into the Phase Rush over what you commonly see in these kinds of lanes, which is Airy. A lot of Oriannas will greed, go Airy, and then end up just getting caught by one stun they couldn't quite outspeed. But this Phase Rush guarantees that every single trade is going to be good there, and you can get so much free harass. But big ups on the Wukong there, getting 2 kills on that initial fight there, and Gamer's going to find the hook from Nautilus, but it's going to get traded back pretty quickly. Heiko, so much damage on the Lucian. Yuumi's also providing what little they can in the trade, and already half HP. JGT struggling in this lane, and it's not 3 minutes in.
Absolutely. This is going to be a very interesting.
Oh, it's the level 2 found up. Heiko not able to count the minions. One shot, trying to rush for the level 2. Isn't going to be able to find it. Yuumi can't quite re-enter onto it, and Heiko gets away from the arrow from JGT. Gamer makes their way out of the play. Has the hook again to find Yuumi. That resets the W. Not able to jump back on their laner, but not quite perturbed by that. It's evened up in bot lane there on the trades, but I still prefer that Lucian with that longsword.
Yeah, absolutely. The one difference is Nautilus still has flash. Is the only summoner in the bot side. So we might see a flash hook.
She's abusing a little bit of what you expect from the Renekton there, and back to the top lane. X-Ray taking a lot of damage from the Gragas. That W, I think it's like Drunken Rage or something, gives so much effective damage reduction. It gives you pretty much a free Sheen proc every time you press it as well. It's gonna just hurt over time.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what build this Gragas goes.
Yeah, wondering, maybe looking to full AP. You've got Phaser, so you're pretty flexible with whatever you're going to do in there. And she's back into trading in the mid lane. You have to keep this pressure up as Renekton, and taking tower shots like that evens up the trades. Not the worst way in Blob Blob Fish. Interesting name there. Is going to be able to use the clone. Heiko, 10 toes down. Make sure the trade works. The root. Blobfish stopped. Bartel found the trade there onto JGT, and now here's Silas Reed. He's going to be able to burst the cat. It's gone. Blobfish in the 1v2. Gamer Destroyer, one shot, one more auto. Is going to be able to die there. Blobfish picks up another one. 3-0 on the Wukong. Tries to fake the clone. Uses the real one now. Reedy, one more shot and finds the shutdown there onto Silas. Wukong finally falls there, and Reedy puts X Unit back on the board here, but still down 600 gold. It's effectively the kills, though, so not the end of the world.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a very bloody start to the game. There's kills everywhere, heavy trading all the lanes, and I'm enjoying it. Now, as we see these second clears starting to come out, we do have Dragon coming out bot side. Overall, components-wise, it's mostly even. Most of the gold is concentrated on the Wukong for the side of Fraud Watch. So I'm curious to see whether or not they play for this Dragon, or they'll be looking to push their lead elsewhere by maybe looking to invade their top side.
Trying to abuse that early tunneler there, and Silas has that important Hextech Alternator, which does so much burst damage, and it's got that Dark Harvest too, so really going to be looking to trade. Maybe that's where that aggression is going to come from, and Gumby does so much damage on this Gragas. You cannot even try to estimate how much it's going to do to you. And another hook. Gamer Destroyer has been really good with these hooks. Heiko eating a lot of damage on these trades, these short trades, benefiting the Nautilus and the Varus much more than the Yuumi. So low on the Varus, barely able to make it out of the play.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's the power of the Varus Nautilus. They don't have to commit, but when they do, it's really, really easy for them to one shot.
Easy for them to one shot, and I blinked and he's gone. She absolutely found the right advantage that I need to. Gummy Power under the tower, not able to find X-Ray. The Blobfish spots Reedy in the bad place, but not able to save their camp. One more hook. I think that's like the first hook gamers missed on this Nautilus. Has been so accurate. Heiko one lane. The bells are ringing and they're tolling. Maybe from a cathedral, but maybe not for the right one here. Heiko has to try and outplay this in the bot lane. The dives coming through, both on top lane. Gumby gonna finish off. Now back to the bot lane. Heiko falls 1-for-1 on the map. Gamer Destroyer tanked it up beautifully. Blobfish able to trade it out 2-for-1 in favor of Fraud Watch, but not much else found. Lots of minions lost here for this Lucian.
The interesting thing, though, is the gold is evened up. Whether that's between CS or kills, it's pretty even. Maybe 200 gold lead for Fraud Watch, but considering the start of the game, Exodus is doing a good way of getting this thing back under control.
Yeah, to return control at least, but in order to do that, you need to start making maybe more plays like that in the bot lane, more oh my god, I just forgot the word. Proactive. There we go. I was gonna say progressive, and I guess they're progressive plays because they're progressing the game state. But proactive plays much more important here for Exune, especially around that dragon bot lane. You kind of want to not let this team comp from Fraud Watch. Lots of scaling, lots of abilities to just stack HP, stack damage, and get themselves back to this game. Especially if you're looking at Heiko here on the Lucian, down 10 farm already. Even enough in kills and about and items with the Retrix being the advantage there, and Gumby's styling on X-Ray here in the top lane. But
as we do see, he's going into the Roa, so this will be a little more of a tanky AP build rather than the one-shot burst. Going forward, though, we see Varus does have Arcane Comet, which is an interesting summoner, rune, and then going lethality looks like with the serrated dirt. Otherwise, like pretty normal across the board. Looks like we will see a Seraphs out of the Orianna, which I do enjoy.
Not terrible, and Silas already has that Hex Tech finished up, and it's going to be pretty scary to deal with a lot of effective damage, a lot of gold efficient damage coming through here, and first chance to use it here in the mid lane. Reedy finds Blobfish, but maybe not in the right spot. Cyclone gonna get used, and balls on Blobfish there, looking for the Shockwave back in the bot lane. JGT gonna finish the Corrupting Arrow. Not quite found it, but X-Ray still in the top lane, still suffering. Maybe from success, maybe from just trying to live against this Gragas.
Yeah, absolutely. The damage and the sustain from Dragons makes it extremely hard to even survive, especially when you're up against, at least a higher elo player who's a lot more experienced. See an invade going in the bot side of the jungle, 4-man people on top.
And they found Blobfish. Gamer Destroyer with the Dredge line. Blobfish still has the clone to be able to get there. Now it's the depth charge. He's so far away. So much space can be covered by Wukong, but all that jungle is gone. All that pressure is bought. The eyes are set on the Dragon for X unit, and there's no invade target. So it's just going to be a trade in the Grubs and Dragon.
Absolutely. I think Grubs right now have huge value for the side of Fraud Watch if they get them. I wouldn't be surprised if X Unit does look for Dragon Stack in this game, a little more of a scaling advantage of being able to use that properly.
Seeing how they can use that advantage, and Jake's actually lost their flash to the mid lane off of probably a beautiful Silas Chains here, and Yuumi has ult before Heiko. This has just been a testament to how much Heiko's been suffering, but has one more auto flash forward, finds JGT there. Gamer Destroyer locks down Heiko here. Reedy is back to the bot lane, has the Shockwave, looking for the Sombrero. He's going to use it there, found the double kill. Heiko can't stay alive for much longer, and the cat is the target of Reedy. 2 for 2 on the play. I don't know who that favors. Who did that favor, JK?
Do you think it favors the side of X Unit? Strictly because getting more kills on the Renekton and Silas, I think, is a lot more valuable. Because they need a little more help to snowball the game even faster. The Varus will get strong no matter what if you give them enough time and gold. But if you're able to get that Silas Renekton ahead early, do massive favors for you, especially going into objective control as we're looking at now. They're taking the dragon off that play.
Yeah, they're going to be setting their sights on this dragon and finishing up first. It's traded for the grubs, so 1-for-1 on these objectives. And with that play, that also put Varus here in the mid lane and gets Jix very low on this Orianna. No flash as well. Now dive into top lane. Blobfish needs a Cyclone there, and Blobfish has to dive really deep there. Gumby kind of messed up the cask and looking for the redive, just waiting for the tower to reset there, and one more used. Gumby flashes away from the tower, not enough though. X-Ray traded back 1-for-1 in the top dive. Heiko maybe a little overextended here. Dredge line not going to be able to be found from the minions. It's blocked up, and Yuumi. That Yuumi ult, it's Sylas. Why does he turn into a cat while doing that? That's I've never seen a Sylas use Yuumi ult before.
Yeah, neither have I, and that animation is definitely interesting. You see a tower dive, but on mid lane.
Sheeves just stat checks with the Eclipse back to the bot lane. Heiko weathered the storm, unable to die. Gamer Destroyer found another hook, but Heiko has so much damage, so much tank from the Yuumi. There's no Yuumi ult and has to flash away. Gamer Destroyer follows Reedy. One more try, but the shield's too much. And Fraud Watch are starting to prove the doubters wrong.
Yeah, as the gold expands to about 1,000 for that side of Fraud Watch. Void Grubs, I believe, were taken by Fraud Watch during that escapade bot lane. As we see, very, very interesting bot lane. You see, from the side of X2, their bot lane's a little bit behind, but they're still scaling. Trading topside.
Still scaling. That's a hero barely missing Heiko there. Gumby now has to answer Sheeves, but Sheeves has so much damage, and there's no armor here on this Gragas, so a lot of damage is going to come out. It's going to be about trading and making sure those can stick. And Gamer Destroyer's mid lane and Blobfish waiting on the wings here for the plays in top lane. This game has been active since minute 1, and neither team has let off the gas. Neither team wants to give it up yet, and double dipping at its finest. Gumby's going to be able to make it out, and Blobfish not quite looking for the fight on Reedy there in the jungle that you can see on the map as we take a breather.
Yeah, absolutely. As we see, they're switched lane opponents, right? The Orianna went into the Mundo, and the Gragas went into the Renekton. Personally, I think that's a good trade overall. It stops the Renekton from snowballing his lead anymore.
It's just been a domination throughout this jungle. Blobfish has used Cyclone for the move speed. Block Sheeves has to flash out as well. Gumby now using the cast there. Knocks the Renekton to the tower. Sheeves takes one shot there. Reedy under the tower trying to burst Blobfish. Ain't able to do it. Sheeves falls there from Gumby. Found the double kill with the tower in the last hit. Now X-Ray, draw the ire. That's a shockwave used. Blocks out the shield. One more CC used for X-Ray. Blobfish, one shot here. X-Ray, one more cut. He's going to find the shutdown. Not before his own life is taken. Into the bot lane, Heiko on the push, really pressuring without the presence of Gamer Destroyer.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's that power of the Yuumi illusion. Is they're able, if the Nautilus does go to room, just to absolutely demolish the Varus and look for heavy, heavy trading. And that's why I was saying the Void Grubs favor them. I think they have a lot more tower pressure, especially through the side lanes.
Yeah, they've got so much pressure, so much presence on this map, especially if you're Gumby here. 5-1-2 on this Gragas. It's just an absolute monster to deal with. Usually we're expecting to see the Mundo and Gamer Destroyer. Went a little too far forward there. Burns the flash, uses the exhaust there from Yuumi as well. One shot, not enough to take him out.
Yeah, if the Lucian had ult there, it was probably then. Thankfully, for the side of X Unit, it was down. See, they're trying to press these towers, trying to get early snowball, and this is what I was saying in draft, that if Lucian does get ahead, it's going to be tough to shut him down. That Lucian and Yuumi are going to be very, very tough to stop now that they've gotten the snowball rolling.
We've got the snowball rolling, and it's going to be a while for X Unit to start getting their champions online. Yes, I talked about the meatball, but usually your meatball has to be really tanky, and yeah, I do like, why can't, I was going to call it Gorgon's Plate. It's not Gorgon's Plate. That's an old item. But Gumby, maybe a little caught out there. Use the cast to get away. Sheeves gets a little bit more HP, and Blast Plant Gumby on the wrong side of the map, trying to make the great escape from this play, and almost made it out without taking a tower shot. Holy, is free from that. Heiko's diving JGT in the bot lane, but Heiko cannot die. The Yuumi, too much sustain. and now draws the ire of the meatball, the death ball coming back to the bot lane. Reedy not able to close the gap though, and Heiko free dive in the bot.
One of the cardinal rules of League is never chase a Singed. I think one of the other we should add is there's no such thing as catching a Gragas. So much to say and so much ability to get out. See some skirmishing going on before the dragon starts up.
Trying to bring some abilities just before Cloud Dragon. Stop that Dragon Sack and Gamer Destroy here. Wrong space, wrong time. Sheeves, tower's gone. You can't be here, buddy. Lockdown. Gumby finishes it off into picks before the Dragon. Broadwatch doing phenomenally.
And I believe that should expand the gold lead to a 4K gold lead. It'll also stop the dragon stack inside of X.
Puts them in a good spot too, because Cloud Dragon gives you a lot of movement speed, gives you a lot of ways to kind of move around the map, and that's a Infernal Soul too, so big ups if you're this team comp that I was kind of doubting your damage. Well, first off, that's a very high damage Gragas, especially with how far ahead he is, but on top of that, you're going to have these Infernal Dragons to really stack up that AP. Now crossing over into 16 minutes, we're eyeing up this Herald, but 3,000 gold advantage might be enough here for Fraudwatch to at least make it through the rest of the early game.
Yeah, absolutely. The other thing to note is feats were taken, so they have been confirmed for the side of Fraudwatch. And, you know, maybe not the biggest thing ever, but it adds that little bit of power going into the late game and big game.
Reedy's close in the chains, gonna get cast out. Now Gamer Destroyer once again caught out, but able to make their way out of the play. Typically, when you see Nautiluses start dying, it's so hard to stop the train. Same thing with 80 carries here in the mid lane. The calling is going to be used. One more slow. You can't get out of there. No flash barrier used. JGT fall.
Split push by the Mundo is going to get some gold, get a tower, try and get him back in this game. Overall, though, the Rifttail, I believe, should be going over to the side of Fraudwatch unless something crazy happens. And give me your thought process going into this situation where it's at your X unit. How do you stabilize this game and get back into it?
It's so hard. Typically, you look to your scaling in the bot lane, but JGT's going that lethality Varus, which is just hard to do. Poke doesn't stick as well on this team. You're dealing with a Yuumi, and Sheeves is just getting rolled up and smoked, and here under the tower has to pop the Dominus there. Ult for ult here in top lane, but Gumby looking confident on this Gragas, but X unit, if you're looking to stabilize, it is kind of just going to be about, we really have to slow down this game. We have to wait for this Mundo split push to really start kicking in, pick up that Heartsteel, start really dealing damage. Also in these side fights, that's going to happen eventually when you start split pushing.
Absolutely. Key items that are beginning to get on, obviously, the Gragas is at 2 items. The Wukong should be about 2 items here pretty soon. And Lucian should be about 2 items. We're starting to see that second item power spike where a lot of these mid-game champions out there so far accelerated are really going to come online. As we see the Lucian, thankfully he went topside, because that was a very, very nasty gank that was going to hit him if he went towards the bot. Looking at ward's control here, we have on the bot side, that entire bot side red jungle is lit up.
Giggs has been caught by a briefcase, which means that there is nowhere for you to go. The shockwave more than enough. The trades are coming into top lane. You can see pings. They want this tier 2 top tower. They want to find the good trade. They've got the Herald to do it too. So Fraudwatch lose their mid laner, but trying to look for the play. The hook's going to go wide onto Gumby, as they just confidently stand in front of everything.
Yeah, no fear, no hesitation. And I think they're going to take this thing to the mid lane.
They should, but you can see on the map, not quite enough. Gumby staying behind the tower. Flash forward from Gamer Destroyer keeps them locked down. Sheeves has enough damage on their neck and trying to burst, trying to find it. Shutdown goes to Gamer Destroyer, but a shutdown nonetheless on the Gumby tower. Tower's going to die in the mid lane cycle and used by the Wukong, locked down by the Chains of Corruption. So nowhere to go for Fraudwatch, but lots of standing gold on the map claimed by them.
Now we get to the interesting part of this season with the Thornbound Otacon is that third Dragon fight and Otacon are a lot of times the same fight. Now obviously this game they're going to be a little matched on time, but they're being pretty close. So if you do lose this fight on either team, it could seal the game. If you're X unit and you get that team fight and you're able to get both, it really propels you back in. But if you're Fraudwatch and you're able to get it, it will probably seal the game as long as you play smooth from there on out. So it's going to be a very critical moment in the game. See, okay, who gets the third dragon? Who gets the Otacon? Who's got that vision control on the bot side?
It's going to be a lot of that, as well as just making sure you're finding picks, burning summoner spells, especially Gix. You can see they're lacking the flash there, and they're gonna get picked off. Reedy, so much damage on the Silas. The Orianna was there, 1 second blink, and they're gone. Vision, though, not really around the river, mostly forward and up toward mid lane. Gumby trying to find the pick themselves. Only one level up on X-Ray, though, who's been still pushing pretty well, but can't get away, doesn't have the ghost, and Gumby's fast with the phase rush. He's just comboing, he's just belly dancing on him so far. Has to burn the ultimate from the Mundo there, and the Cassius locks him back to the fight. It's a 1-for-1 pick eventually. We're just sitting here and waiting for this to finish up. Gumby, one more auto, one more W. There, he's gonna go. He missed the briefcase too. Oh, evened up on the fight. Gumby pressuring topside.
Yeah, that was insane. The amount of move speed, healing, and damage that Gragas was able to put out. That build is very, very scary.
Yeah, it's hard, it's fast too, and that's a Gragas knocking on your front door as well. A fire's been lit under X unit. They have to find a fight, and the Dredge Line's gonna go wide. Heiko just at the edge of the range, and oh no, the depth charge has been used on a clone. Gragas finished off the top tier 3. No Dragon, no Otacon have fallen yet. X unit walked away from the objectives. Now Heiko turning their attention towards Gamer Destroyer. He's gonna get locked down with Cyclone. Blobfish, one more to do it. He's killing out Heiko. Heiko has so much damage. Skill back to the game with a double kill. JGJ gonna fall as well. Now Gumby eyes on the Renekton, has to flash away, but Fraud Watch have just blown this game open.
Absolutely, that turned into essentially a 7k gold lead, and we're seeing a wow, that damage.
Chiefs is just gone to the tower. There's nowhere for you to be safe on X unit. There's just a Gragas staring at you. There's a fed Lucian. And they're gonna not opt to go for these inhibitors, but that's, as you mentioned, Infernal Soul plus Otacon. A little pretty big cherry on top, if you ask me.
Certainly a 4 for 0, I'm pretty sure. A tower, potential inhib, and I was thinking I'll take him. Instead, you get a dragon and an Otacon. I think I'll take that any day of the week.
They're gonna play it safe. I don't mind them doing this on the reset. Don't want to overstay your welcome. Don't want to get caught out on a fight where you have 1,000 gold each minimum probably to spend in your inventory, especially for the carries. But does it give X unit at least some time to breathe, some time to try and make their way back into this game? But it's got to start with picking off Lucian.
Yeah, absolutely, and I personally am very much in favor of that back there. You have gold, you need resets, and the thing is, you're in the driver's seat, right? You don't need to force a risky move to try and get back in. As long as you're able to keep this lead and keep these picks going, you can take it as slow as you need to.
It's going to be... well, it depends on how Fraud Watch wants it to be. If they want this to be a long game, as you mentioned, it's really going to be a long one, but I imagine they seem pretty fired up and ready to just get out of this one. They've got a 7,000 gold lead. They've got so much money. They start out this Otacon. No picks have been found. Gragas knocking on the door mid lane has turned this into a flank. That's the TP from X-Ray there. Watch this. Gragas. Gumby has the cast, has the flash. Cyclone going to get used. Knocked up 3 so far. The peel's been good. They can't find their way out of there. Just shockwave through. Heiko's legendary. Gumby is on the back line. Blobfish finished off JGT, and X unit have fallen. Fraud Watch have proven them wrong, taken a game at least off this. They're up 30-13 at 23 minutes. It's just a waiting room.
Absolutely is. I'm curious. They decided to go the Otacon over the end. I guess want to secure the gold and sending Gumby up there to just get the inhibs. Yeah, that was an amazing fight. I don't know if you saw it, but at least I did. The Gragas was able to get that flank angle, just blew up the Varus. The Varus had no chance to do anything.
It's so hard when you're that immobile carry. You're dealing with so much mobility, so much pop damage coming at you. The Deep's going to use from Gix as they want to make sure everything is gone. That's 2 inhibitors taken solo by Gumby. No one can touch this Gragas. No one can try and catch him out. X unit as a unit had a chance to turn on them, but just locked down from the Shockwave, from the Cyclone in that last fight. And Gumby, maybe a little too far forward, but you cannot catch out a Gragas.
Especially not when he's this far ahead. You just don't have the damage, you don't have the lockdown. I see Baron coming up on the top side of the map. They're starting to grab jungle, trying to get vision, while the side of Fraud Watch resets with probably another 1,000, 1,500 gold for each member. As we see third, almost fourth item starting to come online for everyone for the side of Fraud Watch, while lots of members of X Unit are only having 2, maybe 3 items.
Going to be a difficult situation for Exeter to try and at least make some time this game. As I mentioned, Fraud Watch just so far, or as we mentioned, they're so far now 10,000 here, 25 minutes into the game. That means Baron has just spawned. Mind you, we've seen all this. We've seen 43 kills in this game, and it's 25 minutes in. As Tycho starts up the Baron, maybe a little bit on accident, but I don't think it should be. Gumby pushing up in the bot lane. They have to pick. You can see the pings starting to come down. They want to start forcing this objective. They want to start making X Unit have to choose, and they've got the vision to work with it as well.
Absolutely, and they also have the split push power of Gumby. You know, they really don't have to even fight the Baron. They just have to pressure it long enough.
Just have to pressure it long enough. They just have to survive the turn. You see Gamer not there, but in the meantime, Sheeves gets cast by Gumby. 7,000 left on the Baron. Blobfish is actually fighting. Gets on the reverse side. Reed stuck in the pit. Pauling takes him down. Blobfish blocked down by X-Ray, but maybe not where you want to be. Cyclone back to the Gamer Destroyer. Shockwave blocks down the Nautilus, and it's all over, folks. JGT's gonna fall. Gamer Destroyer is gonna go, and it's Sheeves versus the world, and Gumby's been pushing these towers. He's been knocking on the door since 10 minutes into this game, it feels like. And Fraud Watch have taken game one.
Absolutely, a stellar performance from just about everyone on Fraud Watch. You know, the jungle absolutely had a massive impact. The ADC and support, and even though the Orianna maybe fell behind a little bit in the early game, her shockwaves were excellent and kept some of these team fights just unplayable for the side of X Unit. I'm curious to see going into the draft number 2 game how they adapt. Obviously, it's fairly so a lot of champs are off the board, but it should be interesting to see how they adapt.
To see how they adapt, X Unit really have to find a way to stop that Gragas, stop the bleeding in the top lane. At the same time, too, not letting bot get out of hand. We saw how well Gamer Destroyer and JGT were doing in lane, but it just became such a complicated situation for them to deal with. Gamer Destroyer and then also had to move around too much, and Varus got too far behind to get back into it. And with that being said, that should mean we're going to be heading to a short little break here. Going into game two, the adjustments have to be made, the breaks have to be had, water has to be taken, and a little bit of standing break. We'll see you back for game two. are back getting into game two draft, at least. As you can notice there, Fraud Watch still on the blue side, meaning X Unit opted in to red side after the loss. I'm not expecting bans to change too much, but those champions you can see there, 10 of them gone off the board with Fearless, JK. Anything else after after the last game?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it came down to Gumby. Like he held a lot of power in that game. Even at the fights that he wasn't at, he was applying pressure on the opposite side of the map. So it should be interesting to see what X Unit does to try and counteract some of that pressure as we see bans coming out. It looks like I think about the same as last game.
Yeah, most likely just going to keep the same bands out of there. You don't want to deal with any new champions because you don't have to worry about, say, that Gragas coming back into play. But Yunara going to be the change. Xin Zhao was there last time from X Unit. So either challenging that or maybe wanting to see it themselves. Uh, but regardless, Yunara off the table, a big 1v980 carry. And I imagine Heiko be pretty good at that.
Yeah, the Lucian performance last game was terrifying. And I'll be honest, I was not expecting the Yumi to go that hard. I have not seen a Yumi in a very long time, so it was very impressive. Having that level of impact. I see Sivir coming out. That's an interesting pick. Hyper carry late game. The immediate Smolder answer. It's going to be an interesting bot lane, maybe a little less bloody than last game.
Interesting is a way to put it. Um, they definitely will be scaling and stacking and farming in the bot lane, but does mean that action can happen a lot elsewhere. And I do like that adjustment from X to pick a champion that is encouraged to be alone, encouraged to just farm for max range and really be safe because they were moving Gamer Destroyer around the map a lot. And never mind the infamous 25 minutes, 100% win rate bot lane. Totally real. Just believe me, bro. Sona Smolder coming through from X Unit.
Yeah, that's a combo. You see that in your solo queue game. You're just like, ugh. Definitely going to be interesting though as we see a Zillion pickup. When is the last time you saw a Zillion in a comp match? I'm curious.
It's really good into Sona, just because Sona's super immobile and she can kind of speed up herself, but you've got the slow from Zillion, you can guarantee CC. It's just hard to deal with as a Sona. Usually you punish Zillions with Rels, with Leonas, with Nautiluses, but your bot lane already picked up there, and Fraudwatch gonna lock in the queen of short trades, as I've dubbed her, Aurora.
Yeah, I mean, I like the comp, right? You have really good late game scaling. You have CC. You have the ability to kind of play around with a lot of move speed, right? That Sivir all gets a lot of value. The Aurora W2 have a very fast comp that's able to move around the map and make plays together as a five. I'm curious to see what jungle and top they augment that with. I'm also interesting to see the Smolder. I would assume you want a super beefy front line. See Mel come out. That's an interesting pickup. I like it. You can reflect basically everything from Sivir, from actually all three of them. So it should be pretty strong here.
Should be very strong and a decent response just because you can play outside of the range here. But I imagine these second round bans not going to change too much. You don't have to worry about the Gragas anymore, so you can still take out the same two. God, I wish I remember what they were. That was one of them. Viora uh, off the table here from X Unit into Fraud Watch, but I could see X Unit struggling. They really do need, excuse me, some sort of champion to bridge themselves into the late game. They need to be able to actually make it through early game if you're going to play up all these late game scalers. What's going to happen when the enemy team just takes everything? They get both the dragons, they get the herald, they get the all three grubs, and all of a sudden now it's just nigh impossible to breathe on the map. And yes, you scaled, but you're going to be down 4 or 5,000 gold at least.
Yeah, absolutely. As we see the Yone band coming out from the side of X Unit, and then Udyr and Kindred coming out for the Fraud Watch, looking to ban junglers, keep him, a little more under control after last game. I'm curious to see, obviously, I'm assuming they're saving R5 for top. They are. So they go with the Amumu. Big Wombo combo. This is a very late game, late scaling comp from the side of X Unit, and very team fighty.
And it's lockdown, but still a champion that needs help to get through your first clears. While fine, you're still kind of squishy. You're going to be rushing that Leandri's first, so any invade from any kind of traditional AD jungler or even a champion like that. Zac being flexible, both figuratively and literally, into top lane and into the jungle as well. But I don't imagine that going top lane. It's still good in the jungle. It's got long range ganks, lots of CC, lots of ability to build AP, and Mbessa going to be the lock in from Fraud Watch there. So a challenge has been thrown out here to X Unit.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm curious to see what they answer. I wouldn't mind. I think like an Ornn or maybe like another tank. Honestly, I think goes really strong here. Something with guaranteed CC, something with a lot more scaling. I think it goes okay into Mbessa. Really, you just want to kind of slow down the game topside.
Gonna be slowing down the game. That pick gonna come through. It's gonna be K'Sante from Mbessa, but it's gonna be tough for X Unit to make their way into late game. Fraud Watch has the ability to contest everything on the map in every lane. They have shove in mid, top, and ADC. Whereas you look at X Unit, Smolder can survive, Sona can survive, Mel probably in the winning matchup, but more of a 50-50. And you look at your jungler, and I can't help you, buddy. It's tough here for X Unit. Fraudwatch proved the doubters wrong, and I find it hard to bet against them this game as well.
Yeah, I'm also tending to be on the side of Fraud Watch here. I think if X Unit can get to 30, 25 minutes without losing a ton and stop the bleeding, they'll be okay. However, that early game is going to be very, very difficult. They have to play it very, very well just to survive.
It's going to be a lot for them to survive. It's going to be a Herculean effort, if I mind, especially for Smolder to get to that 225 in a reasonable amount of time. Keep your eyes on the game timer. I'll let you know what those timers are once we get into game two of the series. We'll see you right back. And we are back here into game 2. Fraud watch between X Unit. You can see there Gumby Power and X-Ray. Gonna probably be the big matchup to watch in the top lane once again, but more aggressive on each of these champions. Rest of the map kind of inactive, much more enabling each other, and everyone enabling each other kind of just means everyone's enabled, but no one's making plays.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be interesting going into this game. Runes seem to be pretty standard across the board. I don't see anything too crazy. Obviously, with the patch, I don't think any runes were adjusted, so it should be pretty standard. As you see, jungles most likely, I believe, are going to path towards the bot side. That'd be what my assumption would be, but we shall see where it goes. Zillion may be looking for some wards or vision on the bottom side of the map.
Zillion getting some sort of advantage, but no one getting those like important raptor brush wards that we usually see often just throughout any level of play nowadays. It's just so useful. You get early vision, especially on a champion like a Mumu, who you know starts raptors anyway, but you just want to get that confirmation, get whether or not they're trying to go up or down quickly, or maybe trying to cheese a little bit top lane, because Gumby Power unstoppable last game really needs to get stopped here if you're X Unit.
Yeah, absolutely. As we do see both junglers do start topside, and actually, the Mumu started red buff, so you were wrong. It's an interesting choice. Usually it is always Raptors. I can't confirm that. But yeah, it should be interesting. My assumption would be this game is X Unit's just going to try and sit on a tower and farm. They can sit back, chill, and get that CS. Now, obviously, you see some trading going on top side, but it should be interesting. I might be looking for a level 3 gank mid lane. I think it's very possible. If this Mel pushes up, if you're able to blow her W, her reflect, that's almost a 20-second cooldown. If they're able to blow it, they can easily look for a gank, especially with long-range Zac E.
I think that the Zac E doesn't get stopped, just the damage from the reflect too, so that ability doesn't really even need to get baited out. Just has to get timed with that Zac pull like you were mentioning. Much more than worrying about it, but other than that, just back into clearing it. Put the minions in the bag, little bros. What I'm seeing right now, everyone just going to farm there in Gumby Power. Maybe making me eat my words, but the rest of the map just scaling.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, it's not actually bad game state for either team, right? For the side of Fraud Watch, you really want to get to your 6. Your 6 is really strong. Roar, Sivir, Zac. I think once you get there, you'll be okay. Once you're there, you can start dragging Zac and look to get an early advantage.
Yeah, especially if you're Fraud Watch, you really need to be up on that. You're playing this against this super hyper scaling team comp. They shouldn't have any access to any objective really in the early game, so everything should be free, but any sort of slip up can mean that you know, could get a little dangerous here. And Heiko making a little worrying movement there from Fraud Watch, going to lose half the HP on the Sivir already, but it's okay other than Smolder getting sacks.
As you might see a skirmish in the bot lane here. Bot lane river, I should say. Top also heavy trading.
To be heavy trading, especially in the mid lane. That's going to force Shibs to flash Blobfish, putting one on the board in the gank. Department and Reedy maybe looking for the counterattack, but Sheeves has no way to fall. It's going to be 1v1 that forces the reset. And Abessa, to the surprise of nobody from what we saw last game, already pushing X-Ray into their own tower.
And that's exactly how I called it. Zac looked for the level 4 gank onto the Mel, knowing she had no way to stop it. The Mel used W to reflect the damage from the jump, but wasn't able to stop the pull. Now, Zac is going top side. We might see a dive here, skirmishing bot side, but it should be pretty safe. Neither of these lanes really have kill threat until a jungle comes down. He is on vision though, so I think he'll be okay.
Be fine. Actually getting turned on with their X-Ray. Saves off that Q3 knockup, and Blobfish gets locked down. He's going to get forced into the revive, and Gumby just opting not to trade. There's a Smite in Reedy's inventory. Make sure to steal that away from their own laner, but not needed at all. And X Unit puts one on the board. First blood as well. Still means nothing, sadly, but, you know, one on the board. Good mental advantage.
Yeah, absolutely. It's an interesting first pickup from the Zac, going for an immediate tier 2 Ionian boots Lucidity. I don't know if that's standard, but it's definitely interesting. You can see how it could be useful for sure.
steal here. Maiko getting ran down. Doesn't have the mana, doesn't have the HP. Can he use that boomerang one last time? IGT can't quite finish it off in the exhaust. More than enough to do that. JGT, another one on the board. Bartel just getting stacked up by Smolder. Smolder beautifully spacing the tower shots. Has the barrier to stay alive for just a little bit longer. But Zilean also lost the flash. No sums for the side of XUnit's bot lane.
Yeah, see, uncharacteristically for the comp, laning phase is doing quite well for XUnit across the board. Mid, although not but kill, is up CS, and otherwise, except for top, a little bit of a CS advantage to the side of Gumby. Overall, though, it's looking quite good for the side of XUnit considering their champions. I'm curious to see around this dragon. Obviously, people are going to start setting up for it now pretty quickly. Amumu's on the bot side. Aurora, level 6s are coming online now. If you're the side of Fraud Watch, you want these dragons really badly. You really don't want to give a dragon, because as soon as you do that, dragon stock starts. So I'm curious to see how heavy they push for it. Maybe they'll rotate people down. We shall see.
Just need to make it to the objective first if you're Fraud Watch here. XUnit still, they got that kill bot lane, but still lacking the ability to properly push these lanes. And Veritouch just barely missed the double bomb stun. Lumu, another reset in the board. Faded Ashes ahead on farm here, and Gumby starting to pressure X-Ray a little bit more, but still not quite enough yet to kill. You're still dealing with the Kazanti, you're still dealing with a really tanky champion, so not quite as free as we saw last game. But not the end of the world either for Fraud Watch. They're even enough in gold, and they're down 2 kills, and really all that's coming from this top lane advantage.
Double bomb coming up from Zilean, do some good damage. Yeah, I'm surprised to see that they didn't look for an early, dragon fight there. Obviously, I guess they want to maybe play for the Void Guards or get 6s on bot lane first. Definitely an interesting choice to have the Zac go topside.
Yeah, keeps him occupied. Now, good news for the Zac, at least they're resetting too, is that Amumu's also still topside. Trying to put a gank onto Odessa here. Is going to get spotted on the ward. Gumby still respect it more so than challenge it. Still has that public execution as well. And Maiko maybe playing with a little bit of fire. JGT get a ping 6 here. Gamer Destroyer means that they're close by on that level up, and so all pretty good when you get to 6 here. I mentioned talking about Dragon Stack timers. The big timer you're looking for here, Smolder, is 23 minutes on that 225 stack mark. If you get to that point, you're on par with the pros. You're really doing a good job, and I would say up to 25. Oh, that's not a great crescendo right there.
That one hurts the eyes, I will not lie. Going past that, Zac is taking the Void Guard's top side, so they're going to get some early tower damage and pressure. Mumu is counter-invading his red side, right? So getting that CS advantage, trying to get something out of it, get some leads going. See, all three do go over to the side of Fraud Watch. And, Mumu has a really good opportunity here to potentially gank. We have a low HP Sivir.
Does have a good opportunity to gank. They have the information that Zac's topside with those grubs slain, and Reedy's gonna go straight for the beautiful flash. A Mumu ultimate there, but just no tank, no follow-up. There's no damage. And the Zilean ult's gonna get eaten there too. IGT Gamer Destroyer not able to have the damage to follow off yet. First, Samomi not good enough to kill there, and Fraud Watch on the board.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting, we see, but that's a part of the power of Zilean, right? Is Heiko should have died there, but the threat and also the ability of having a free revive really changes it, as we see lots of pressure from this Mel trying to punish this Aurora, but barely survives as very close with almost the Executioner from the ult coming in.
Situation here, if you're Fraud Watch, still though, you're up gold now, and you've got that Unipulse in the inventory of Sivir, so even more push is going to come through on this champion. Already pushing waves, already making JGT and Gamer Destroyer have to really be concerned, unable to roam, but Dragon still have 10 minutes into the game. The big thing we mentioned, get Dragon stacking on board here for Fraud Watch. Get yourselves in a better spot. So that way, when we come to typically, which is your 18, 19 minutes for your third dragon fight, uh, you're in a good spot. You're up dragons, you're up gold, and you're being aggressive with it. The Gumby power, as I mentioned, aggressive, is sitting bot lane here, and it's going to get spotted by Reedy, and the jump is getting used by Zac. It's going to get canceled off with the public execution. Locks him down. Reedy can't get the curse of the stab on the office, still on cooldown, and he's going to fall. The kill's going to go to Heiko. So Fraudwatch, 2 for 2 on the board total, and they should be able to start this dragon.
Yeah, absolutely. I've noticed that Fraudwatch has done this 2 games in a row where they rotate their mid lane, their top lane to mid because he's stronger, and then they look for an invade into the enemy jungler for an objective. So, you know, using that power of Gumby that he is a little bit of a higher elo and usually ahead, you're able to get that trade out, and then you're able to trying to get, you know, a kill, an objective, something like that. In this case, both. So it's a really smart play from the side of Fraudwatch, and I'm sure that's a designated call they have.
Play too, especially with the shift up top lane, as mentioned. But down farm on the Aurora. I'm kind of surprised. Mel's been doing really good. Shibs played awesome on the Renekton in game 1, but now coming into game 2 on the Mel, completely different champion, completely different dynamic that you have to do in the lane. So I like what I'm seeing here in Gamer Destroyer on the bad side of the fight. Blobfish here for the gank. Is it going to get the double bomb? Gamer Destroyer has to flash away, and Blobfish fails the knock-up as well. Gamer Destroyer just walking it out. Flash used, and the bomb isn't going to be enough damage whatsoever. Never mind, he's got AP in his inventory. It's enough damage. Zilean picks up the kill, and that's Beta Warfare for Fraudwatch.
You see another dive coming in.
Dive and get Gumby was on the other side of the fight. Blobfish kept the Zac ultimate there as well. Just burned the Zac passive. They just burned the Zilean ultimate for it. And X-Ray TP's away. There's no coverage in mid lane now.
Yeah, but do you really need to be? I mean, sure, you lose a wave, but you start shutting down that Smolder more and more and starting getting a lot of gold on the Sivir. I was very surprised by that damage off of the Zilean, and you see heavy trading going on bot side here between the 2 top laners.
Trading, but back the top laners in the bot lane. 12 minutes of the game. Maybe we don't return to our original assignments. I wouldn't be shocked, especially if you're a champion like Sivir. You can just wave clear so much in safety in mid lane, and you could allow the Zilean to do plays like this, roam around, make it so hard to breathe, and force the Sona, who needs to sit and scale and gather resources, can't get any.
Yeah, as we something to note is that looking at first items are all coming online. I think what's interesting to me at the very least, we have a 40 CS advantage on the top side. That is a ton of gold across the board except for mid lane. Look, you see fighting maybe starting.
Interesting crescendo from Gamer Destroyer, but public execution catches out the Amumu. Once again, Chris 7, he keeps him alive for a little bit longer. Heiko is running down the Sona. Sheeves has to flash away Gix. Can't close the distance. Doesn't have any between worlds, and the reflect can get used back and forth. Gix flashes, blocks down Shivs just for a second. One more auto, more than enough. Heiko picks up the kill, and Blob finish with the grab. Takes down Smolder under the tower. Does pop into passive, not a way to defend him either. But he's still just barely gonna live with the skin of his teeth. X unit getting sprinted down.
Yeah, that was extremely fast. You had to play top side, to play mid, and to play in the jungle. All across the board. You know, it was a slower maybe start. It's gotten to this 10-minute mark, and it's just been go, go, go. Pedal to the metal for the side of Fraudwatch. They have not let off the gas. They're trying to force this Smolder and these scaling picks to suffer because of it.
And the fight starts bot lane. Gumby just has so much short trading prowess on the Mbessa, as well as just a player. It seems they were phenomenal at that on the Gragas, just the one of the rotations out there on the dive, ready to start it there. And Blobfish here as well, and Gumby on the fadeaway away from the tower picks up the kill on X-Ray. Again, just struggling to beat tank duty.
And this power, this Zac has so much value this game, right? You know, you have a Sivir, you have an Aurora, and you have a Mbessa who can follow up so easily, right? They have move speed, they have long range, they have dashes. So the Zac is able to just fly in from out of nowhere and get those picks. And credit to Blobfish, he's been getting insane value. Like, he comes from everywhere and is just getting picks.
Just getting trading the tower, really looking for the dive. debating heavily if they want to do it. They've got the vision to do this. They know exactly that Zac isn't topside. And Gix is pushed so far in front of the tower, and Gumby might have read this play perfectly. They're running top lane right now.
Yeah, it's it's a 15 minutes in, 5K goldie for the side of Fraud Watch. As you see, maybe a dive coming out topside.
By both Gumby and Reedy. Reedy can't get in there, and the chain not enough. She barely lives. Public execution locks Reedy in the tower. Gix has the go-ahead to look for Sheeves, can't quite find it. And the Mel ult takes him down, shuts down Cling. It's a 1-for-1 top lane now. JGT still scaling in the mid lane, but Heiko here to follow up on the play from Blobfish, but no catch out quite yet. Broadwatch still 10-3 in total kills. Eyes are set on Herald. And Dragon spawning here pretty soon.
Yeah, absolutely. We start seeing the power of the Sivir. She's able to sit mid lane. She can have her jungler. She can have the people rotate or else around, and she's just able to sit there and clear waves and keep scaling.
Keep scaling. They're burning 4 on this, which not necessarily going to be a mistake. Usually you'd be like, oh, but they might not be able to make it Dragon time. They're going to make it a Dragon time. The damage on objectives from X Unit here is so low in comparison to what you're expecting. And Blobfish going to find that pickup on the JGT, but can't quite get the pick that you need. Can't quite get that extra auto in order to activate the Zac Q. And so that means Smolder's still free, but the space is gone once again. No Curse is money for Reedy. And that's Sheeves just half HP'd from a combo from Gumby. There's nothing you can do, and the stun is caught out Reedy. The damage onto the Mumu. Not able to find the blue buff there for Fraud Watch, but the Dragon is theirs.
Yeah, something to note is that the Rift Tip was taken by the top laner, right? So they're going to be looking to use that as we see K'Sante go topside. Blobfish engaging in the mid lane.
It's going to go well for them, and Ibessa still here, dodging out the Q3 from X-Ray. X-Ray half HP'd a little bit more than that. I think K'Sante has to get the level up in order to stay alive in the lane. Gumby's just running amok up here in the top lane. To find the wards, but not a whole lot else.
Yeah, absolutely. As we see TB, this Ibessa is just going straight in.
Just going straight in, trying to engage the fight 1v5. And is able to get the ultimate out. Crescendo use locks it out for a little bit longer. Curse the Stab Mummy still available. They're trying to wait out this lean ult. X-Rays here, shut down, slain by Mel. Blobfish is blobbing around in the back line, forces Reedy to flash out. X-Rays solo, cutting through and cutting down. There, Heiko picks up another kill. Blobfish finds another catch onto JGT. The Curse of Stab Mummy under the tower. Mel picks up another kill in the shutdown in the back of the fight. Gix, not quite the target you were thinking of there. Blobfish, one shot, not caught out by the Mel ult or anything, really. So it's a 2 for 2, but Broadwatch probably still happy with this. I don't know. Scalers do like going even.
Yeah, 2 Dragons are up as of right now. They missed it. Zilean might be dead.
Zilean is a little more than dead there with their own bomb. Sheeves really becoming the problem that X Unit needs to keep going.
Yeah, absolutely. Having the Mel wave clear and execution to keep you in this game is huge. The goalie now only about 3,500, so it's getting close, and that was a really interesting fight. Essentially, the way that the K'Sante split the fight there, so I was able to get a lot of picks onto the front line of Falcon Wolf, or not Falcon Wolf, sorry, Fraud Watch. It's interesting as we see CS across the board is very wishy-washy. You have, as we see, a huge engage going.
JGT, Smolder's gone, dude. He can't live, he can't breathe. Gumby is playing like another jungler on this map for Fraud Watch, and they're knocking on the towers. TP's out of necessity.
Yeah, wow, that was insane damage. There is no way of putting that. One moment the Smolder was there, the next he wasn't. The thing is, he used Flash in that fight too. So I don't know if it just hit late. I'm not exactly sure what happened. But yeah, the Ambassador right now has so much damage. Obviously, 3.5 items probably when she bases.
She's going to be a big problem. Just right now is a problem. 4,000 gold advantage here for Fraud Watch. 240 before this Dragon. 20 seconds, 15, my bad, before Otacon. It's spawning on the bot side too. So just a single Otacon really to worry about.
Yeah, I'm curious to see whether or not the same thing happens again where the Otacon lives long enough for the dragon. It really is a theme of this game that that third dragon Otacon really changes the face of the playing field because of how much gold and objective power there is in the two.
So much pressure here on X Unit to try and scale, especially Smolder has to get those stacks going through. If we have the chance, could we maybe check on these Smolder stacks? If we can't, we can just guess and wait. I imagine hovering somewhere around the one, I'm hoping somewhere around the 160 range, just based on how well this game's been going for them. But so long, so long to 225.
It's probably. I think it might be closer to. Yeah, I think 160 is probably accurate. Hasn't had the most chance to farm, but it's not doing terrible. Has a lot of fights at least to get stacks off of. But yes, definitely behind the curve a little bit. My guess is he'll probably hit the execution at around 26 minutes. I think that's. I think.
The last game was what, that long, I believe? 27 minutes, I think, something like that. So there's not much time left on this clock here for Smolder. You have to get on the board. You have to get scaling. You have to get that execute on that champion. It's a lot of your damage that you're relying on here. Next, is going to get caught out here by Gumby. Gumby is sticking on there like a bug stuck in a glue trap. But X-Ray isn't quite the bug. He's the glue trap itself. And Gumby can just barely get away there. Reedy locks him down there. And X-Ray with their life makes it out, but the tower's gonna fall. Reedy and X-Ray one-shot in the top lane. And eyes are set on this Dragon Otacon.
Gumby is just so strong. They have to rotate 2 to 3 just to stop him. I mean, it's really, really difficult. And now we're going to see Otacon take him for the side of Frog Watch because they have to send 4 to answer the Mbessa.
4 to answer the Mbessa. Now they spread out. You can see the 2 spreading out. The Sona Smolder. Not the 2 targets you want to be face checking everything around the jungle there. The Baratel is going to be in the bush waiting, trying to find the pick. Reedy is here, but his one shot is going to get pulled in there, but just gone immediately. Curses Amami stops the continuation of the fight. Gix gets healed up by Baratel on the Zilean, and now back maybe to top lane. The door is being knocked on. Gix starts grab, I guess. I was expecting maybe like a mid-push, maybe a harder start towards Dragon, but really just resetting and waiting.
I mean, I don't hate it, though, because of the Mbessa split push, right? It's really, really hard for X-Unit to ever actually threaten an objective because they have to send 2 to 3 just to answer the Mbessa. So, Fraud Watch is able to use that to get these objective pressured. They're sending 3 to 2 every time, so objectives are free.
Objectives are just free, and Mbessa's getting a ton of farm. And they're pushing that top lane here. Now, of course, Baron is going to start being a concern with timers. That just means Mbessa moves bot lane and does the exact same thing and gets more gold from the tower. So I don't quite know what you're going to be able to do here. If you're X Unit, you guess you can kind of keep scaling, but now there's so much dive, so much damage coming at you. I don't know if Smolder stack matters.
It's definitely interesting. They're going to need their K'Sante and Amumu to try and tank some of that damage. You're going to need some excellent Sona ults to survive.
Take time, and Gumby has found the target. Sheeves is it. Will take used to get out of the fight there. Gumby burns a TP there from X-Ray. That's 3 bot lane, 4 teetering there, and you can see the pings are coming onto this. They want top lane. Gumby knows exactly what to do here. Have to get Gix pushing up here in top lane. Heiko has got the push as well. Gumby just has to defend this. Now X-Ray is the target of the Eye of Mbessa. Maybe not has as much burst damage as he expected there, but 2 abilities landed for that much. It's hard to deal with.
Absolutely. It's Amumu may as a flank on the Zilean here.
Maybe quite Sivir caught that out. Gix is keeping up the pressure top lane. Mbessa is trying to fish out, trying to figure out where Reedy is here on the Amumu, because that's really the big lockup. You can lose, you can struggle here on this Mbessa if you get CC'd. You don't have a lot of HP to work with. But even then, that doesn't stop just in the 1v1. X-Ray is cut down so much damage from the Mbessa combo. X-Ray has to be safe, has to be careful, and that means this tower is going to get half HP'd, just like the enemy champions by Mbessa.
Yeah, I'm curious to see now you know, Baron's coming up, I would assume they're going to keep doing the same thing. I don't think Mbessa even has to back here. She just keep the pressure up, and then as soon as they look to do anything, either they give up 2 towers and an inhib, or they give up Baron. I don't know which one's worse.
All of them suck. It's okay to say all of them suck. It's a bad situation for XD. You can see here exactly why Gumby so strong on the Ambassador. Now Blobfish is able to just engage 1v3 untouched. Reedy maybe didn't want to land that bandage toss there, and Blobfish is going to be able to get out of the play there, and another bandage toss is going to land. Reedy's been pretty active with those this game. Blobfish locks down the Mumu under the Baron there. Reedy taking a lot of damage. Chris Stemma is going to get used up. Might be able to burst Blobfish there. Going to go to the Zac passive. Here comes the Smolder. He's doing a lot of damage. They found two off this play. Blobfish just waiting to fall there. Now back to the top lane, or at least was the top laners there on bot lane. X-Ray died solo to Gumby. Mid tower is gonna fall. X Unit had to commit to one decision, and no matter what, it's wrong.
Yeah, it wasn't a bad look, right? They had the kills. Unfortunately, because of the pressure, they were able to get everything else on the side of the bot side and mid.
Oh, Heiko just 1v1 Sheeps. He's gone there, and Reedy maybe didn't want to land that Gumby here in the mid lane to remind you exactly who's been the issue this game. Reedy's gonna flash forward, trying to still kill Heiko. Heiko is able to kite it out, and now Gamer Destroyer is the target. Reedy got the burn to finish off the shutdown, but two are still alive from Fraud Watch here as they get the ace.
That's a lot of gold. That's a lot of tower pressure, and the instant public execution, and Smolder's just gone.
It's been a bad game for Dragonstock. They've been doing bad. Dragon was taken late. The Dragon on the Rift here can't quite stack up here. X-Ray is doing whatever they can to stall, but it's not enough. And Bessa can't quite find the kill. Is going to be able to get it in another ace, technically. 2 aces in the span of 30 seconds based on the league client has been granted for Fraud Watch here as they're knocking on the base here from X Unit, and looks like they're going to turn their attention towards this top tower to finish it off. As, oh my god, this is getting so bad I can't see anything. I'm sorry. I can see a bandage toss gonna land there from a Mumu, and that's the curse of the Sad Mummy. It's gonna go to Mbessa, and the shutdown's been claimed by Sona. Good enough. X Unit stalls the push for a little bit longer, but a lot of damage is coming out here from Aurora, I believe.
Yeah, I think that's what that pixel was.
Yeah, I think that's what that pixel was. I think I saw a line that maybe was Aurora colored. Apologies. You guys are all fine on your end on stream. Apologies. Hopefully it's better.
It's a stop motion. That's the best way to describe this. Should be interesting though, as Soul Threat obviously is coming up in about a minute. Baron's up on the side of the map. Their base is broken open almost. They only have one Nexus turret. I'm curious to see what X Unit. I'm hoping Smolder has stacks right now. I can't tell, but I'm hoping he does.
He didn't have it. Well, I didn't quite get the chance to see it when he got picked off, so not quite sure. Dragon's gonna get started up here from X Unit. Start up to 6,000 on the Dragon, 5,000 to go down, and they're gonna look for the steal, and it's so stop motion, I literally cannot tell what's happening. I'm not gonna lie. I wish I could tell you what's happening. All I can see is a Melon's gonna come down, and it's gonna trade it back pretty evenly here for X Unit. X-Ray, though, just gonna fall. There's nowhere for you to tank. Reedy doesn't have the damage. Sheeps doesn't have the damage on the Mel to carry these fights. I can look at it retroactively, and I can see it's just so much coming from Mbessa, coming from Gix, coming from Heiko. There's too much gold in the pocket of Fraud Watch.
Yeah, it looks like it was a 1-for-1, the Sivir for the Cassante, as they're pushing into the base, trying to grab more inhibs here.
For posterity, Reed's gonna find the first stem on me on the Blobfish. Blobfish, they do have the Smolder stack, so Execute's gonna come through there, and Smolder picks up a kill with it. But they didn't stop the push entirely. Inhib's gonna fall topside now. Bot side's gonna get knocked down as well. And Amumu trying to chase down Zilean, but you can't do that, buddy. As just wave clearing and hoping and praying for X Unit. There's not a whole lot you can do on in this situation. 3 inhibs down, and you don't have a proper tank. Your tank dives. Your Smolder has stacks, but there's so much dive coming at you. I don't know if there's enough heal.
Yeah, absolutely. They did stop the Soul at the very least. However, they now have potential of triple inhib along with a Baron push. So this is gonna be interesting very quickly.
Going to be a show of force here, either from X Unit or Fraud Watch. Is it Fraud Watch kind of finishing off, driving that stake through the heart of X Unit? Some pings coming on to Mbessa. She's just side laning there in the bot lane, able to draw so much pressure, and Baron restarted here from Fraud Watch. The push from Mbessa too good.
Yeah, and triple inhib. You know, they have super minions coming in from all sides, doubling amount as usual. I think the Baron should go over to the side of Fraud Watch pretty easily. I'm curious to see how they try and do it. Obviously, X Unit does have good wave clear, obviously. They have the Mel, they have the, obviously, Powered Smolder. Question is, can they even survive long enough to utilize it properly?
Can they survive long enough to use it? Can they survive long enough to try and make this base defense? It's one last fight here for X Unit. They've already got Mbessa knocking on the door. They've got the waves here for Fraud Watch. They want to try and push this through. X-Ray has to try and stall long enough for FGT or JGT to just do something about these waves. But the double supers, they're Baroned up too. It's too much to deal with. It's too many minions. It's too hard for them to just do anything.
Yeah, as me and you at least see this interesting interesting fight in the background. I believe that his next turret second coming up very soon.
That's a good set money for Reedy there. They burned the Zac Brazilian ultimate immediately. A ton of burst damage. Gix trying to return it in time, but it's just too hard. There's too much gold. There's too much damage. It's a triple kill for Gumby. The Mbessa gets a Quadra, trying to look for the Penta under the tower. Can they find it? But at the full health, Sona there isn't quite able to die. They got the two, but Gix gonna finish off the Nexus there. It's a double kill for Gamer at the end of the game, but Fraud Watch take the series 2-0.
Yeah, it was a great series from both teams. Obviously, couldn't hang on long enough. To me, my MVP of this series is definitely Gumby. The amount of pressure, the amount of just pure amount of having to try and have to deal with them sealed this game's fate. Who are you giving it to?
I mean, I feel like I would be stupid if I didn't give it to Gumby. Naturally, just how much pressure they drove on the map, 100% just led the team of Fraud Watch into so many easy situations where you're watching your top laner drag 3, even 4 at times. It becomes so free to do objectives now. How do you shut that down in the late game is really going to be a big question coming into the future weeks for teams facing Fraud Watch. How do you deal with that? And really, it's just going to be about not getting behind the lane phase. So I agree. It has to go to Gumby. I can't even think of anyone else, really. Maybe Heiko game 1.
Yeah, I think for the side of X Unit, obviously they lost, but I think my standout player, I forget the mid laner's name. I apologize. I don't remember it, but
I should
their excellent job, like held pressure constantly. What even when the map was falling apart, was always able to get ahead and get farm. I think they played really well. That's partially what allowed X Unit to survive so long. Is that the Mel was constantly getting picks to try and offload some of that gold. So I think my underrated MVP would be the Mel for the side of X Unit.
100%. And with that, that does come to close our night. Thank you for spending your time with us. Thank you, JK, for coming on the cast. Thank you, Ice Fire Ride, for producing for us. And thank you, the audience, for spending your time here. We'll see you all next stream.